Hey everyone. Welcome to acceleratoorg.com. Jeff Bruno, formerly your outsourced CFO, now bmodeler.com, businessmodeler.com. Welcome everybody. Good to see you. I was scheduled for 2:15 Eastern. It's 12 o'clock Eastern. As everyone can imagine who has kids, I had to maneuver for some Halloween stuff, Halloween parades. So I apologize for that if someone's going to join, but I'm sure Sean can replay this later, I hope, if it's helpful for people. So it is Friday, 10/28, getting near the end of the year, guys. Thinking about all the plans and the strategies for 2023. We have a huge question mark, uncertainty in the markets. They're up and down, and a lot down in the last couple months. And, people are worried. Are we going to see a major recession? Are we going to have a soft landing? How's this going to affect my business versus other businesses? Nobody knew that during COVID. Some businesses in COVID thrived. Others got destroyed, like restaurants. So it depends what type of your business you are, and are you ready to get through this rough ride? Either way, it's going to be tough. So I hope I can help businesses think through that, especially small businesses. If you have low liquidity, meaning if you don't have a lot of cash, be very careful with your business right now as far as extending it for growth. Time and time again, a lot of businesses go out of business because they either grow too fast or they mismanage cash. Some of the primary reasons businesses go out of business. So please be very cognizant of that. And when you think of your business as a whole, your business model, you need to always think about the performance and how to control performance. So what do your customers want? What are you doing to help those customers and give them the value that they're looking for? And setting a performance to manage around those customer requirements and that value, your internal performance. That's the key. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters, because if your performance is managed correctly and controlled, your financial performance and your ability to continue to grow should be at least clear in your head and make decisions easier. So I know that's a broad stroke, but think about it that way, and now I'll hop into some of the questions. So first question is from Rohit Gupta. Rohit says, how do I determine prices for my products? Business description. We are an exotic snacks and drinks business. We sell snacks and drinks from around the world. For example, Fanta from Japan or China. Right now we are only e-commerce. We are getting a brick and mortar store in December. Our product ranges from 5 cents to $15. To cover rent, utilities, etc. for brick and mortar store, does it make sense to increase prices or keep them where they are? So Rohit, congrats on that. First of all, I love Fanta. It's amazing. And I love all the different things you can bring from around the world. That's really cool. People will probably love that, especially nowadays. So my first question to you is, why are you setting up a brick and mortar? I don't think pricing is an issue right now. I will talk about that in a second, but why are you setting up a brick and mortar? Are you leasing a location? You said rent, so I'm assuming you're leasing a location. Why do you think you need this location for your products? Is it because you have to showcase the products? Like, what is the point of the retail location? What other factors there are you considering? And the only reason I'm bringing this up is, while you have a unique product here, you're bringing in these things from other countries. Getting people to a retail location nowadays is very, very difficult. There are a lot of different priorities. COVID has changed that landscape. And, people order online. They don't do a lot of retail shopping. So I'm wondering what your objective is there. If it's an advertisement, if it's to have a location to store, if it's to have, if you're in a very populated area, like in the middle of a city, like New York, and you think there's a lot of traffic because of that, okay, but then you have a really high rent. So that's I'm struggling with the whole concept of why retail. when you can just go e-commerce and even go use Amazon as your retail e-commerce. If you get the correct reviews of your product on Amazon, you can launch effectively through another channel that way, which is built-in advertising for you through Amazon Prime and other things like that. So the other concern I have here is volume. So when you're talking about 5 cents to $15 per product, you have to sell a lot of volume to make up, to cover your costs. Like if you're in a rental scenario and you're paying $3,000 or $5,000 a month for a location, then you have to have people staff the location. I mean, those are very, very high costs. So you need to sell, hundreds of candy bars or sodas at $5 a pop to cover those people. And then you have to buy that product and store it and ship it from overseas and so on. Now, I'm not saying your business model is not good. I don't know your business model. There might be some nuances to the model that you have. You have a direct line that brings the product in easy, and that's lower cost as it's coming from overseas. I don't know. Maybe your margin is just through the roof. Maybe a can of soda to bring over here is 25 cents and you're charging $4.50. I don't know, but it's a lot of volume, and I worry about a retail place when it comes to that volume component. So keep that in mind. As far as pricing, sure, in a retail you can raise prices higher because you have the location scenario and you don't have to worry about shipping and so on and so forth to people, and people will be willing to see the product in person, hold it in their hands. So there's a little bit of a premium you can charge there, but be careful because then your prices can be varied online versus in store, and if they're savvy buyers, you could have some issues there. So not trying to trash your idea. I love it. I love the whole concept. I'm not sure why the retail store. So the next question is from Rohit Gupta again. In today's environment, how and what resources would you utilize to prepare a business plan with projections if you have not done it before? Okay, so what I would say to that is when you need to do an approach of really what are sort of centered around what our business model is. So projections mean absolutely zero, okay, if you don't understand your customer requirements. And then you have to understand your internal performance, okay, to meet those customer requirements. So if you don't have any idea about that, you're just throwing numbers on a page. Literally, because how do you know if you can hit those numbers? You have to perform at a certain level to hit those numbers. How do you know how many customers are going to be attracted to your product if you don't know the value you're giving to them? So it's a little bit of push and pull there with projections. So a business plan is, of course, very helpful, but what a business plan is really what are the strategies that I need to do to get this business from here to 2 years out, 3 years out, 4 years out. And those are very valuable. Business plan is extremely valuable because it centers your mindset on, like, how do I want to move this business forward? What are some ideas that are really creative that can help us move this forward? The problem is strategy and projections don't align unless you understand how your leading metrics can speak to your financials. So I'll give you an example. You're selling product. So if you say to yourself, all right, how many people hours is it going to take me to get the product here? What's all the logistics of getting it here? What is the advertising cost I need to spend to get it in front of the people so that they understand the value of the product? That is all a cost piece that has to be evaluated to see if it's working. You have to set a target and test it. So if you just say, oh, well, I think it's going to be $1,000 a month in advertising spend, and I think it's going to be this much time of a person to run with it, that's a business plan. Like to import the goods and handle them, that's a business plan. But until you set targets and manage those performance metrics under those targets, you don't know if they're effective. So a projection is just a wild dart on a board somewhere, and it doesn't give you any kind of roadmap to come off of. So what I would recommend is you set initial monthly or quarterly targets of what you think those costs are and what the customer requirements are and what you're going to have to spend to get the value out to them, and all the pieces of time spent. And look at that cost structure and put in targets of revenue you expect or product sales, and then see how you're performing under that. So if you get some consistency, and what we like to say is you get systematic about it, like, oh, these set of measures, if I turn them up, I get more return, I get more sales. If I turn them down, I get less. If I measure this person's time and they're within an hour of scenario, they're like 9 hours versus 11, okay, I'm pretty comfortable within that time period, they're going to get the job done. Now you can set a projection. Now you have enough data points to say, within a range of scenarios, I can set a projection. And then once you know that, you can set the projection scenarios that you might have. So, all right, I know within this range, my people can do this. I know that if I spend some advertising, I'm going to get about this in sales, probably. So then you have a baseline projection. And then you go, all right, if I spend more in advertising, what do I think that's going to do? There's your one type of secondary what-if scenario projection. And then what if I maneuver costs down here a little bit? That might be another type of projection. And you can have a couple of projections, and then you can start running and see what happens. So I know that was a lot, but it's really important not to do a projection. Do not do a projection with just financials. You will fail, because financials tell you nothing in the moment. All they do is tell you lagging information. Okay? Hope that's helpful. Next question. Jonathan Jean-Baptiste. Jonathan says, how do I determine what type of life insurance I have? I'm a residential real estate agent. I'm looking to maximize my money for my future investments. I hear life insurance is a way, but I'm not sure what type will work best for me. Do you view life insurance as an investment vehicle? How do you view it? And how do I know it is appropriate for me? So, Jonathan, let me put this disclaimer out here first. I am not a life insurance agent, nor am I versed in life insurance from product side. However, being on the operational side, the finance side of a lot of businesses, and talking to a lot of people, life insurance is always an important piece of the equation to de-risk your scenario, especially for your family or for other partners in your business, so on and so forth. That's the way I see life insurance on the business side. It's a tool to de-risk you getting hit by a bus and your partner having to take over and hire somebody as capable as you and pay out your family for your loss, like of the value of the business at that time. That's the benefit of life insurance within a business construct. For a personal construct, for investment, as you call it, sure, life insurance is a great long-term investment, but it is a slow investment. So, there's all these different types of life insurance. I don't know what's right for you or your family, depending on your scenario, but there's whole life, there's universal life, there's all those things. They call them all different things now. I don't know what the heck they're called, but, there are all different ways to invest in a long-term product of life insurance. And because it's on your life, if you give it 20 years to develop or 30 years to develop and you're paying premiums along that way, you have a really, really nice, stable cash value at that point that if you don't want to maintain it for your life, then you can cash out at that point and go use it for an investment. But it takes time. I mean, a solid life insurance product takes 10 to 15 years at a minimum to get some good cash balance. So there might be some newer products now. Again, I'm not an insurance person, but so there's the personal side planning, and then there's the business side. Hope that's helpful. Next question is from Kimberly Benjamin. Kimberly asks, how do I determine direct pricing versus wholesaling pricing? As a hairstylist, my products retail direct to clients, and there are products I purchase at wholesale that I would like to turn around and wholesale to other stylists for them to sell. How do I determine what that margin should be for me so that they can make money selling to the clients, but I also make a margin? My advantage is to buy at higher volumes to get better pricing from wholesalers than they get. Okay, that's great. So if you can get better prices than wholesalers because of your volume, that is absolutely an advantage. However, I would think that your advantage is not that big. This is just me shooting straight here. I'm not sure. I don't know the volume plays in your industry, but I would think usually on volume plays, I mean, you have to be a massive buyer to get large discounts on volume. So let's say you're buying and you're getting a 5% discount or a 10% discount, or maybe you're lucky and you're getting a 20% discount versus the other people that would buy that wholesale product directly from the manufacturer or the reseller, whoever it is. So that's okay that you're getting that extra discount, but you can't really sell it to those people for much lower than the wholesaler. I mean, unless you want to take a hit on the pricing, for sure. But that's a hard game to play there because you're not going to have a lot of margin to resell it to other stylists. If you just have excess volume and you think, all right, this is a little bit of an annuitized sale concept, like I know that I could have 10 other hairstylists that are close to me buy like 2 a month or 5 a month of this specific product. And I know it's going to be consistent. And they like me and they like that it's easy access to me to get this product. They don't have to deal with the salespeople on the other side. Like you're adding a value to it. Yeah, maybe spend your time doing it if you can get 10 or 15%. It's like a referral construct, like a finder's fee. You could probably get something like that. But is that worth it for your time versus spending more time on selling it at regular retail to people? I'm not sure, because those people that are buying the product from you are going to need to turn around and sell it, at a decent amount like they would on retail. They're going to want to make the same on retail or very close on retail to what you're making. So you have to give them a pretty good margin. So it's hard to play with pricing there. So it's a tricky game. But again, if you have some niche and so on, and you think you can make a good 10 to 15% on, $5,000 a month, and you're throwing $500 or $750 down to your bottom line in extra dollars, that could be in your pocket. Great, and it's a few hours a week for you or a month. Do it. But otherwise, I'm not sure how that might work. Next question is Eric Blandino. Eric says, do I need and what are the pros and cons of having both personal and or business credit as a business owner? And how could I use my credit for both? Benefits. I haven't owned a credit card since 1998. I've bootstrapped my business from the beginning. If I need to buy a vehicle, equipment, materials, coaching, or invest in a new team member, I need to make sales and save. If I don't have the money, then I can't afford it. It is a mentality I was raised with. At what point in the entrepreneur journey is credit recommended to grow a business? How does one utilize credit for growth? We're currently at $400K a year. And what perks could I benefit from using credit cards or lines of credit? We are a rat exclusion service. So Eric, this is extremely important. I love where you're coming from and where you've been raised, okay? If you don't have the money and you can't afford it, then that's it, okay? I love it because it gets you focused on making profit from day one. That's phenomenal. It's awesome. And by the way, it's a great way to build a business, okay? Now, it can slow your growth, but it's a great way to build a business. So put that aside for a moment, okay? We in the United States live in a credit economy, period, okay? That's what the U.S. capitalism is based off. And that is how businesses can facilitate faster growth. We are not in a just an operating cash flow helps you grow kind of environment in the United States. Now, you can do that. As I mentioned, you can just do that. It's just a slower growth scenario. But the other thing is, because we're in such a capital intensive type society, when you start to grow more your business, you're going to need credit. Full stop. You're going to need it. You're absolutely going to need personal credit. So I would start a personal credit card and start building it up right now. Don't wait. Now, you can put small things on it and pay it off every month. That's great. It'll build up your credit. You don't have to have a balance on a credit card. You don't have to pay the interest. Just get a credit card, $10,000 limit, put $5,000 a month on it, pay it off. Boom. Keep doing that with credit. You have to build up personal credit. If you want to get a loan from a bank, they're going to check your FICO score. If you want to get any type of other loan, CDFI, community development financial institution, or anything else, they're going to want to look at your credit score. If you're going to buy equipment and you're going to lease some of the equipment for the rat exclusion stuff, they're going to want to see your personal credit score. If you are, on and on and on and on. So absolutely mandatory. And since you're the owner, I'm assuming 100% or a big chunk of the owner, every application you do, everything you do, they're going to look at your personal credit score. Now, not every small thing, but like bigger financing deals or leasing deals, they're going to want to see that. So you are really shutting off access to capital for your business across many levels to continue to grow it and spread that cash need out over several years versus paying it up front, which can be hard for a business owner. So that's number one. Number two, business credit. So there's Dun & Bradstreet and like other business credit things. They're a little bit of a scam. I kind of hate them. I think they're almost a scam in general. But other vendors that you work with and other suppliers you work with might look at your DNB score online, which is your business credit score, and see that you've paid your other vendors on time. You have a good record of that, so on and so forth, to help you get credit with vendors. So on the personal side, it's for financing, it's for leasing, it's for, anything around banking. On the business side, you want to build up maybe some business credit cards and then maybe some, all this stuff so that you can have a business credit score, so that the most important thing is you can go to your vendors and say, I want credit. So instead of getting a line of credit from a bank, if you can't, you can go to your vendors and say, give me a line. Like, I'm not going to pay in tomorrow when I buy this, or COD, or next week. I want 30 days. But the vendors, if you have no credit history, they're going to be like, how do I know you're going to pay me? Like, yeah, you've been paying me for a few months, but I still don't trust you. I don't see any history here. So that business credit can help you with those vendors that are in your network and to supply you some of the chemicals or the pieces of products you use for your exclusion service. So those are the two avenues of credit. Critical in this environment. U.S. is a credit market. So go for it, Eric, and build that business past 400. Let's get you to $1 million and graduate from Sean. Nice, guys. Well, it's Friday. I hope everybody has a beautiful weekend, enjoys Halloween, and I'll be seeing you next month. Thanks. Bye.